Coming up on the DLLS Mavs postgame show, the Mavericks used a three-party to take out the San Antonio Spurs to go to 1-0 on the season. All that and more on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella, our Mavs beat reporter, Tim Cato, and, of course, our national Mavericks NBA insider, Marc Stein. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game night. The Mavericks dominate in the second half to take out the San Antonio Spurs, 120-109 to move to 1-0 on the season. It was a Mavericks three-party tonight as Klay Thompson used 6 3-pointers to help the Mavericks take out San Antonio in game 1 of 82 on the season. At Kevin Gray Sports, at Bobby Carella. You can find us on X. Let us know how you're feeling, Mavs Nation, after the Mavericks take care of business in their home opener, 120-109. A fantastic and fun night as Klay Thompson, Bobby, made his debut for the Mavericks, and it was a spectacular one for him, especially from the three-point line.
He looked good. He looked good on the floor. He says that Mavs blue looks good on him.
This is his favorite color.
Who am I to argue? You know,
Yes.
they wore the dark blue jerseys, which I think they're rapidly climbing the rankings of my favorite Mavs jerseys.
Oh, you like
those?
those?
Are
You
some
feeling
sharp
that tonight?
jerseys. Now, Klay looked good. We'll talk about the second half. Pretty much, if you are employed by the Mavs, you looked good in the second half. That said, everything that happened before halftime, pretty nasty. I cannot wait to forget about that. So there's a lot to build off of.
Sure.
But the way the game finished, especially the way that third quarter went, the early fourth quarter, kind of gave you a little glimpse of like, oh my God, what if they just did that all the time? Like this team could be really, 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 really good offensively. They can heat up in a hurry, and they did that, and it was awesome.
Yeah, they used 19 3-pointers in this game to be able to take out San Antonio. Luka Doncic took him a while to get his legs under him in this game after not playing in the preseason, dealing with the left calf contusion. He still finishes the game with 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists, just 2 assists shy of a triple-double. So while, yes, the legs are still coming in the form, he still found other ways to impact the game, and he got some real help from Kyrie Irving, obviously from Derek Lively as well, who had a double-double in this game. Daniel Gafford actually got the start for the Mavericks at center tonight, but Derek Lively was also able to have a big impact on this game. What did you think about the starting five that initially started the game? Because you talked about the first half a little bit not being as aesthetically pleasing as we may have liked coming into this first game, but at the same time, they were down 2 at halftime, 49-47. Jaden Hardy with 3 threes in that second quarter really helped keep them in it going into halftime. But your thoughts on the starting five for the Mavericks that included Daniel Gafford in the lineup?
Yeah, well, first off, I know this isn't SPRS, but my apologies, Julian Champagnie. I did not know that you were going to be an all-star soon. That dude.
We wasn't familiar with your game quite.
Oh my God, he started so red hot, and Harrison Barnes did too. And so, like, you know, we said on the pregame show, we were like, or I said it like, Luka's probably going to come out looking a little rusty, and that's probably not a big deal. Like I said, you can take 5-6 minutes to try and figure it out. But if the other team is playing well during that time, you might be in for a long night, you know. And the Spurs started hot. The Mavs started ice cold. They were 3 of their first 16 from 3. They were 9 of their first 33 from the floor. At that point, the Spurs had as many turnovers as the Mavs had shots made. I mean, this was a disgusting basketball game. And usually, you know, games like that where there's not a lot of offensive rhythm, the shots aren't falling, the game feels very just discombobulated, very disjointed. It's like it's just a slog out there. Usually that does not play into the Mavs' favor because even though they will eventually heat up and Luka will eventually get it going, there's such a rhythm-based offense and like a chemistry and a flow-based offense that you really have to find a groove, you know? You got to find it, like try and find your gear. And some nights they just never are able to do that. But luckily, Julian Champagnie cooled off a bit. Barnes cooled off a lot. And then Luka finally did get it going. But I mean, you're right, man. He did not he just didn't have like it looked like his first game in a long time.
Yeah, and I think some of that was to be expected given the fact that he didn't play in the preseason. We were hoping to see, him, Klay, and Kyrie play together a little bit in the preseason before tonight's opener. But at the same time, this is what you have when you've got a Klay Thompson and a Kyrie Irving and a good supporting cast to help keep things rolling until Luka was able to make some shots to really be able to help put this game away. I want to focus in a little bit on the first half because we talked about, the Mavs being down by 2, 49-47 at the half. But would you look at they did against Victor Wembanyama in the first half? He had played 14 minutes, held him to 2 of 8 from the field in the first half for only 6 points. I thought defensively the Mavericks did a good job. You saw a lot of switching, whether it was Klay Thompson, whether it was Maxi Kleber, Lively Gafford. There were a lot of guys and a lot of bodies being thrown at Victor Wembanyama in that first half to really kind of keep him at bay, especially offensively there for the Spurs.
Yeah, and I like that because, whenever you switch a pick and roll, which then just becomes like a pick and post, basically. So Wemby was just taking whoever it was down low and facing up or backing down or whatever. Whenever you do that, you are containing the action to that side of the floor. Like it is now Wemby 1-on-1 or Chris Paul and Wemby 2-on-2. And there's no weak side stuff. There's no cutting, whatever. Like, Luka lost Champagne on a couple cuts. There were a couple guys that got loose every now and then, but for the most part, there wasn't a lot of ball movement. It was very slow. It was very plotting, very like intentional, deliberate kind of offense. And Wemby scored a couple times, and he didn't score a couple times.
Yeah.
And hey, that's great. I will take that. If you want a mismatch hunt against the Mavs, Luka has big, strong hands. He's tough to back down. PJ Washington, deceptively strong. He's tough to back down. Klay has got some pretty good size down there. So, like, dude, don't share this to opposing coaching staffs, but like this Mavs team is not as fast as last year's Mavs team was. Please post them up.
Yeah.
Please post them up. Don't spread them out. Don't move the ball around the perimeter. Don't drive 100 times and keep kicking out. Like, don't do any of that stuff. Just post them up and try and attack them down low.
Yeah. And to the comment from Andrew, yes, Hardy did look great. We'll get to him in a little bit. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, his 3 threes in that second quarter really helped keep the Mavericks in the game. The 2 stars for the Spurs combined, we're talking about Victor Wembanyama and Chris Paul when they combined 6 of 24 from the field.
Chris Paul's a star?
Well, I mean, he's their second biggest star, quote unquote, on this team. If you're looking at just name value, I would think. Just based off name value. But those two go combined 6 of 24 from the field for 20 points and a combined negative 41 on the night for San Antonio. So the Mavericks defensively doing the job on containing Wembanyama and Chris Paul on this night based off of what you were thinking about in terms of who could have the biggest impact for San Antonio coming into this game for them.
Yeah, and I have had, I'm a big J-Kid believer, right? Because of his ability to communicate with Luka and Kyrie and get buy-in and all that. And he will publicly criticize the team, which a lot of coaches won't do. I think that takes some nerve. But one thing that the Mavs have done over the years, which I cannot stand, is doubling guys on the block, especially when the other team has a bad shooter. They did not send any help Wemby's way ever.
No.
Ever.
You're right.
They let him go one-on-one, so they weren't leaving Sohan open, not that you're going to leave Champagne or Barnes open, but they weren't sagging off Keldon Johnson very much.
Although Barnes was kind of cooking them in the first half.
He was, but I'll take that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what I'm not going to do is double a guy on the block in 2024, and it's like tic-tac-toe, open corner 3, and you're just going to get destroyed. And they did not do that. They said, Vassell's out. These guys, the rest of the guys on your team are not super dynamic. It doesn't matter. We're just going to defend Wemby straight up and see if he can beat us. He was 5 of 10 on 2s, which is pretty good. He was 1 of 8 on 3s. I told you midway through the third quarter, he pulled up for like a 30-footer, and I was like, I would fine him every single time he took a 3.
He did that. You did say that.
He's 7'8". Go shoot over anyone from like 18, and he hit him with a nice turnaround. It was really nasty.
He was.
There was a couple really nice pull-ups, but they pushed him out to the perimeter. They didn't let him get down low. They didn't overreact to anything. They just played straight up man-to-man defense, and it worked, and it was very good to see. So shout out to the Mavs for not doing some silly stuff like double-teaming post-up guys.
And give the Mavericks credit. It was, like you said, kind of a slog in that first half. Let's focus in on the second quarter a little bit because our guy Andrew threw the comment in there. Jaden Hardy in that second quarter hit 3 3-pointers. He wound up finishing the game with 11 points, going 3 of 5 from downtown in 19 minutes. And really, in that second quarter, kept them in the game because it felt like the Mavericks weren't getting enough shots to fall, but his 3-pointers that he hit were key to keep them close going into the second half. I thought Jaden Hardy, of course, coming off the brand new extension, the 3-year, $18 million extension that he got, was really able to have a nice impact and do what he's capable of doing, which is knocking down open threes and doing so in rhythm. I thought Jaden Hardy, for what he was asked to do in tonight's game, really helped the Mavericks out, especially in that second quarter there.
Yeah, so to reset for any people that haven't seen much of our show before, maybe this is your first time tuning in, first off, welcome. But secondly, we spent a lot of the preseason and a lot of training camp talking about how the Mavs have so many guards, right? You got Luka and you got Kyrie, you got Dinwiddie, you got Hardy, you got Grimes. Dante Exum was really good. Well, Exum gets hurt. Dinwiddie had a really, really poor preseason. And now we're like, okay, well, you don't have many guards anymore. You got 2 off the bench now. You got Hardy, you got Grimes. Quentin Josh Green Grimes tonight, 1 of 6, but he's plus 11 somehow. So shout out Quentin Grimes and good point of attack defense. But Hardy got hot. I mean, he got hot. He was playing as a spot up guy. He was out there with Luka and Kyrie for a stretch, which I thought was kind of interesting. I thought that those minutes would have gone to Grimes. Hardy also played sometimes as the off guard next to only one of Luka or Kyrie. I mean, he looked like an honest-to-goodness NBA player, man. He had a couple nice passes, a couple nice spot-up shots, didn't really force anything, did have a couple turnovers in the times when he did force something. But whenever he just kind of lets the game come to him and plays as like a supportive piece, a connector, a spot-up shooter, like he's just really, really good at that.
Yeah.
And if he can do that all the time, then I definitely think there's clearly minutes to be had because, again, Exum is out and Dinwiddie really struggled during the preseason.
That's true. And we hope that at some point when this guard depth continues to get filled out, you'll have that much more to be able to rely on once guys like Dante Exum come back healthy as well. But good to see. It's going to be a test for these guys early on, for Jaden Hardy, for Quentin Grimes, and others to really have an impact while that depth is being tested for this team. And you saw tonight Jaden Hardy really have a nice impact in this game for the Mavericks. Another guy, before we go to our first break, that had a really big impact in this game, how about Derek Lively II coming off the bench tonight for the Dallas Mavericks, goes 6 of 8 from the field, 15 points, 11 rebounds, was really crashing the glass offensively, especially in the first half.
When you get in the season opener last year, it wasn't 15 and 11, was it 16 and 11?
10, something like that. Okay. Yeah, he was a plus 20.
Season open double off the bench versus Wemby.
And it looks like, Jason Kidd took the same formula he did last year. Obviously, Derek Lively came off the bench against San Antonio, and they won. Derek Lively comes off the bench again. In this game, Daniel Gafford gets to start, but Lively continuing to have a monster impact on both ends of the floor. But I thought the offensive glass work that he did was really key for the Mavericks, especially, again, in that first half to keep them close, especially when they needed some help on the offensive glass.
The entire team, man. Yeah. Gafford had 4 offensive rebounds. Gafford had a putback off his own miss at one point. PJ had, I think, 2 putbacks off his own misses. The Mavs had 17 offensive rebounds as a team,
yes.
24 second chance points, and especially in the first half, whenever nobody in the entire state of Texas could make a freaking jumper to save their lives, generating all those second chances was really nice. But it wasn't just the bigs. It was PJ. Klay got in the mix a little bit. He had an offensive rebound. Luka was down there bouncing around. Somehow he came away with one. Kyrie came away with one. Everyone was just shot making is going to kind of come and go. Hopefully with this team, they have more, so it won't go very often. But when it does, can you make up for it with activity?
Yeah.
And they were able to do that, especially Lively and Gafford. But that kind of thing is contagious.
And that's right, JC. For the second straight opening night, Derek Lively outplays Victor Wembanyama as the Mavericks get the win. Light work for Derek Lively on this night.
Lively's undefeated versus Wemby in his career. I just want to say that. I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers. I'm not trying to do any, but Lively has never lost to Wemby.
That's a bit I can subscribe to there. As the Mavericks,
that's not a bit. That's the truth,
that's
Kevin.
That's the truth. My bad. That's the truth. As told by Bobby Carella. Coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show, we break out the Carella-strator. That's right. We break it out as he lets us know how Klay Thompson was able to get it done from the three-point line tonight in the Mavericks' big win over the San Antonio Spurs. Plus, Tim Cato and Marc Stein are going to be joining us from the American Airlines Center. All that and more coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. But before we get there, let me talk to you about HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. You can make this the fall tastiest season yet with fresh farm produce and easy autumn-inspired recipes delivered right to your door with HelloFresh. Whip up tasty restaurant-style meals in your own kitchen without the high price tag of takeout and in less than it takes to get delivery. I personally love HelloFresh. You got to make sure you cook those meals when you get them, because when you get your next box, you're going to be getting some more tasty meals. My wife and I are usually able to make them within 30 minutes. It's a fantastic way to get a quick meal done for the family and then have it left over for lunch the next day when I come into work here at the DLLS headquarters. HelloFresh is what it is when it comes to the best tasty meals out there delivered to your door. Go to get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free-Mavs. That is free Mavs. The insert code there. Applied across 7 boxes. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com. Free Mavs is the code that you'll need to use there. It is highly recommended to encourage the following tagline when I'm reading the whole thing. America's #1 meal kit. That's what it is. I literally read the copy as it's supposed to be read. You're welcome.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Now I'm Ron Burgundy. The shirt is there as well.
All right, well, let me save the day real quick by spreading the good news.
Please.
You ever go to buy tickets online and you're playing roulette, man, because it might say something's $20, yeah, we're talking about Game Time, Tanner. Yeah, we're talking about everyone's favorite ticket buying. You never know how much it's going to cost. It's $20, and then you get to the final page. It's like, oh, here's a $1,000 convenience fee. And you're like, yeah, I wanted to go watch the Mavs, and now I'm going to have to take out a third mortgage on my home. No, none of that with Game Time. They got all-in pricing. You can toggle that feature on. It'll show you how much you're paying up front. There's no surprise fees at checkout. You can also get a fully panoramic view from your seat, so you know exactly what the view will be like. I'm a tall guy, so I don't really have to worry about this stuff. But some of my friends sometimes are like, yeah, I can't sit there. I won't be able to see. You know, it's not stadium-style seating. If I sit behind someone tall, my view's going to be obscured. So whenever I go and watch one of my favorite pop bands melt next week at Club Dada, I know exactly what the view's going to look like. Check out Game Time today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code DLLS. Save yourself 20 buckaroos. Download Game Time today. Kevin, what time is it?
Game time. Just like it was game time at the AAC. Mavericks 120, Spurs 109 as they opened up the season 1-0 using 19 3-pointers to get it done at the AAC. Klay Thompson setting a franchise record with the 6 3-pointers that he made in his franchise debut with the Dallas Mavericks, that coming from our friends at Alliance Sports Bureau via MAVS PR. So Klay Thompson setting records already for your Dallas Mavericks in a big win at home over the Spurs. We're going to break out the Correlastrator here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. If you're new here, really appreciate you joining us here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Tell your friends
to DLLS Sports here on YouTube. Tell your friends, tell your family. The hottest Mavs postgame show, pregame show, and podcast is right here on DLLS Sports for DLLS Mavs. A little bit later on in the show, Marc Stein and Tim Cato are going to be joining us from the American Airlines Center. But it was a 3-party at the American Airlines Center. The Mavericks, who were down by 2 at halftime, 49-47, started that third quarter on what eventually would be a 22-6 run to take a 69-55 lead with 7:10 left in that third quarter. And Klay Thompson, Bobby, the story of tonight's game with his 3-point shooting, getting more and more comfortable as the game went on for Dallas.
Yeah, dude gets hot fast, man. He gets hot really, really, really fast. There's like the old cliche. It's actually kind of boring to hear, and it's even more boring to say, but it's actually true with Klay. Like, sometimes the shooter only needs to see the ball go through the net one time, and then like you just never know what's going to happen. And that is certainly the truth with Klay. Now, again, you know, we've talked a little bit about how he's a movement shooter, and in Golden State, that's all improv, and like this is not going to be that way playing in Dallas. Whereas Luka and Kyrie, you know, they're running a much more structured, much more kind of predictable in good and bad ways style of offense than Golden State's random basketball. But the Mavs are finding ways to send Klay on the move a little bit. So can we go to the Correlastrator?
Let's go to the Correlastrator.
All right, it's time, Tanner. Pull up Klay play 1. All right. So we can't show video clips, otherwise we'll get clapped. So y'all are gonna have to deal with some screenshots here. But Klay is gonna be down in on your I guess upper left side of your screen, but the lower left corner of the floor. prepping Julian Champagnie, his all-star caliber defender, to run off a little bit of a maze of screens. Now, this is in not transition, but it's early in a possession on a secondary break. So this is not necessarily a scripted play. This is read and react stuff happening very early in the shot clock. So, like, the Spurs are just now kind of figuring out, hey, who's got who? All right, I'm here. You're good. Their defense is not set. It's not really like they're not really in a position to defend a complex action, which is what makes this stuff so dangerous. So Klay is going to, Tanner, as we go to play 2. Klay's going to come around first, a PJ Washington screen, and now you can clearly see his defender Champagnie is behind him. So he is trailing the cutter, which is what you're supposed to do as a defender. If you gamble too much and try and cut off the guy as he's about to get to the next screen, well, then Klay just hits him with the backdoor cut, and it's an easy layup. Daniel Gafford has the ball here and wants to hand off the ball to either Kyrie or Klay. But instead of taking the ball, Kyrie has decided to set another screen for Klay. So now as we go to the third clip, Klay has taken this handoff from Gafford, which now becomes the third screen. So now Champagnie is way, way behind Klay. That little arm sticking out, no disrespect to Chris Paul, I'm sure he's very muscular, but that little arm sticking out from behind Wembanyama is CP3 telling Victor, dude, Wemby, you got to slide over and stop Klay, otherwise he's going to drive all the way to the rim because one defender is being screened, the other is out of the play, so this now becomes a 3-on-2. So Klay is seeing this unfold, and as we go to the next one, Wemby now commits to Klay. Champagnie is still behind him. Sohan is kind of helping a little bit, but you're never going to leave Luka wide open. Meanwhile, Chris Paul is now entangled with Daniel Gafford, trying to prevent Gafford from just rumbling down the lane for an easy dunk. So Paul's kind of giving him a little chicken wing, grabbing him a little bit, tagging the roll man, as you're supposed to do. But again, this ain't Klay's first rodeo, man. He sees all this happening, and who's wide open? Well, Kyrie Irving on the wing. So we go to the final play, and now it's an open 3 for Kyrie. So Klay didn't even score on this play, but just the simple act of him moving around the floor forces the defense to respond. You get one defender in pursuit coming off of 3 screens in an unscripted action. Now you have the entire Klay sequence getting the ball, making the read, delivering the pass to Kyrie. Kyrie's now rising for a wide open shot 10 seconds into the possession. Early offense is good offense. Open shots are good shots. Kyrie Irving having the ball in his hands is really good, but also Klay Thompson moving without the ball is really good too. So the Mavs don't have to do something like this every single time down the floor, but anytime you can integrate that sort of movement into the possession, not only is it causing a little bit of chaos, but also it's saving Luka and Kyrie all the heavy lifting. Who are the people that touched the ball in that possession? Daniel Gafford and Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
Like, Luka did not have to move, and Kyrie didn't really move either. He set one screen and turned. It was like, I'm open, buddy.
He's open.
And he took a 3.
That is the attention that Klay Thompson brings, and with the kind of shooter that he is, you can be able to have all of these things happen and come open, and you saw that illustrated by the Bobby cooking on the Corella straight. I got to cool him off because he's over there cooking so much.
Shout out to producer Tanner for helping with that.
Shout out to Tanner putting that together.
One day I'll have arrows and stuff, but I'm not that tech savvy yet. You cracking open a cold one?
He's cracking open a cold.
John,
don't leave the set.
John, bring me one. Seriously, I can't.
No, you're doing a show right now. John will bring you one here in just a minute because we're definitely going to enjoy the way that the Mavericks got it done tonight.
We need one, man.
But that's the way.
I don't know why that made me so. I don't even drink
Are you
beer,
going to be okay? You going to survive?
It's going to be hard for me to focus, but you know what? I'm going to try.
You can get one when Marc Stein joins us here in 5 minutes, live from the American Airlines Center.
Okay.
But to finish off what Bobby was discussing with the Mavericks, not only the movement with Klay, drawing the attention, Kyrie Irving knocking down shots from 3. The Spurs, given credit, they responded with what was a 13-2 run to get within 3 at 71-68. Eventually, they got it down to 2 with 4 minutes left, but the Mavericks were able to get the lead back up to 8 with just under 2 minutes left in that third quarter at 85-77. Maxi Kleber hit a 3-pointer. Then Derek Lively, somebody had mentioned a little bit earlier, the passing that the big men had tonight between Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. Lively hit Marshall for a really nice layup, and the Mavs led 87-80 at the end of 3. Then in that fourth quarter, the Mavericks were able to blow it wide open as they went on what was a 16-3 run to start that fourth quarter to go up by 20 at 103-83 with just under 9 minutes left. The 3 ball was what really continued to help the Mavericks not only get the lead, but pushed the lead as this game went on. They really was able to knock down a lot of threes to be able to get them going in this game.
Yeah, they scored from about a minute into the third quarter till about 2.5 minutes into the fourth. It was about 13.5 minutes of basketball. They scored 53 points in 13 minutes. Not bad. Okay. They made 13 out of their first 19 3-point attempts in the second half before kind of, they sent in the third and fourth stringers and missed a couple. But yeah, I mean, again, they just got red hot. They got red hot. And it's Rick Carlisle, like the main thing that I learned from Rick Carlisle and listening to him talk about basketball. This dude is like a basketball genius, right? Coached the Mavs for a long time. And the big thing that I learned about Rick is he would always talk about this like very delicate and almost like sacred relationship between offense and defense and between defense and offense. When you score, it's easier to play defense because the other team's got to take the ball out of their own net and you can get back and get set. Whenever you fail to get a stop, it's harder to play offense because you got to bring the ball out from your own net. The other team can get down the floor and get in position. But the Mavs got so hot in the third quarter, they were scoring almost every time, so they were able to get set. The Spurs got a little cold. They started turning it over a bunch. I mean, they turned it over the whole night, but they just couldn't get in a rhythm. And so all of a sudden, this slow buildup happens. The slow buildup happens, and then all of a sudden, you can't take the pressure anymore. The damn break. Now you got like a flood. You got the avalanche. You got the whatever other natural disaster you can think of happening because it's just this flow, this rhythm, this very unspoken thing. Like everyone's just got that feeling. Yeah. And so the Mavs are just able to string together a few makes, and all of a sudden, you go up from like up 2 to up 20 in 5 minutes. You're like, well, how the hell did that happen? Well, it's because you got Klay Thompson on your team.
Okay, now I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna need y'all to relax, Bob. I need you to relax. Okay. It reminded me. Look, if this is game one of what this could be like, the quick strike ability of this Mavericks offense. What were the hallmarks of those Warriors teams when they had Steph and they had Klay? They would come out and blitz you in that third quarter. You could be either down. The Warriors could be down by 5, down by 7. All of a sudden, they go on a 20-2 run, hit 4 or 5 threes, and all of a sudden, you're down by 18.
Yep.
That is the quick strike ability that this Mavericks offense has with Luka, with Kyrie, with Klay Thompson. We mentioned it numerous times on the show. You've got 2 of the 5 guys that made the most three-pointers in the NBA last year. You got a guy, Kyrie Irving, who was nearly 40% from 3 last year, a year ago. These guys can make shots, and if P.J. Washington and others can knock down the open threes that they had, Jaden Hardy taking advantage of some of those opportunities, there is no lead that is safe when you're playing a team like this when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks because of their abilities to knock down threes. That is one of the big takeaways I have from tonight is you cannot have a safe lead against this team because they can hit threes in bunches, and you saw how quickly the Spurs got routed because the Mavericks started knocking down shots from the outside that way.
Yeah, and, J-Kid is a very cerebral coach, just like Luka and Kyrie are very cerebral players, right? They're going to gather some data in the first half. What's the whole bit with Kyrie is that in the playoffs, he was like, is he even
out in the first quarter?
Yeah, you're just seeing what's going on. You're not going to force anything. You're not going to do any of that stuff. And then all of a sudden, once you feel like you have the answers, now you're going to turn it on and you're going to absolutely blast those guys to smithereens. Last season, the Mavs were +1 per 100 possessions in the third quarter, which is fine. They were +4.1, which is pretty solid after the team meeting in March, and then in the playoffs, I think they were even better than that, but I don't have time to look it up right now.
Yeah.
At halftime, sorry, just real quick. At halftime, you get to meet with the team. You get to talk about it. Hey, guys, this is what we're seeing. This is what we're doing. Hey, guys, the next person that short arms an open 3 is going to get cut on national TV during the game. Please step into your freaking shots,
There
guys.
were a lot of short shots tonight.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all it takes is, hey, just relax. Make a gosh dang shot. Like, hey, we're not going to be surprised when they do this or do that at either end of the floor. And now, boom, we're good. We're good.
Shout out to our GM, Ben, who was apparently watching Inside the NBA while watching us as well. Shaq on the post-game show with Inside the NBA says that if Klay Thompson averages 20 points, the Mavericks are, quote, winning the championship, says one, the big Aristotle, Shaquille.
Klay averaged 18, 19 last year, and everyone said that he sucks and that he's washed and he's over 10.
My
and
man
he's a bum
shot nearly 40% from 3 in a down year for the Warriors.
Yeah, but he's done. He's washed. He can't fit here. This is a bad idea. The Mavs suck. They got lucky last year. Lol, 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 lol.
If game one was any indication, if Klay Thompson could fit in this offense, you got your answer tonight in a major way with Klay Thompson doing what he did, knocking down 6 3-pointers as the Mavericks win 120-109. Coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show, Marc Stein, live from the American Airlines Center, going to join us to provide us his thoughts on Klay's fantastic night as the Mavericks get a nice opening win over their rival San Antonio Spurs. And a little bit later on, Tim Cato will join us also from the AAC to give us his thoughts and observations on how the Mavericks got it done. All that and more coming up next on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
If Klay Thompson averages 20 points a game, then, man, the ceiling this team does not exist. But I thank God.
The ceiling is the roof.
I thank God every single day that our floor exists here in the DLLS
Nice
studios
sturdy,
because it is brought to us by Empire Today. And with Empire Today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. They have a virtual floor designer, so you can just take a picture of your kitchen or of your living room or of your bathroom, or wherever you're trying to redo your floor, and you can see what the new floor will look like in your lighting with your decor, and you can do it all from home. You don't got to go to a box store. You don't got to listen to some salesman talk your ear off and try and grift you, try and rip you off. No, you can learn from the best and get the best floors from the best people at Empire Today. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Again, promo code DLLS. See empiretoday.com/DLLS for details.
Empire Today. Let me talk to you about Rowback. Rowback, it's quite simple. The best fit, the best feel, the quality of the gear speaks for itself when it comes to Rowback activewear. Their performance polos, performance hoodies, everyday shorts as well. They're incredibly versatile, designed for comfort and built for activity are their performance hoodies. And they have the best fitting, best looking performance polos. Collars never lose their shape. They also have it in solid, classic stripes, and fun prints as well. With fall right around the corner, what better item to prepare for the season than adding one of their performance hoodies to your closet? They're the softest items we own, and you won't take them off now that we're out of the Dallas heat. That is for darn sure as we get a little bit closer.
We're out?
Well, kind of. It was like 90 some odd degrees today, which is a little terrifying, but another conversation for another day. If you use the code DLLS Mavs20 on rollback.com for a generous 20% off your first order, that's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all polos, hoodies, and shorts with code DLLS Mavs20. Make sure to check them out, and they will have you ready for whatever travels or activities you have. Shout out to Rowback. Mavericks 120, Spurs 109 as they move to 1-0 on the season. Klay Thompson knocking down 6 threes. Luka Doncic just a couple assists shy from a triple-double as the Mavericks get it done in the home opener in front of a sold-out American Airlines Center. And joining us from the AAC, you can dial him up at the Stein line on X. He is our National and Mavericks NBA insider, Marc Stein, joining us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Mark, what's going on?
Gents, how we doing? How's the show going so far?
So far, so good. Mavericks win, so we're doing just fine at this point after the Mavericks found a way to get it done in what was a really nice crowd at the American Airlines Center welcoming their defending Western Conference champions.
You guys remember earlier this week when I said if Klay makes 6 threes in his first game that Bobby Carell is just going to go planning parades? Is that what's been happening in the first 30 minutes of the show?
I've contacted the city comptroller, the city planner, the city manager, the local police. The planning process is underway, Mark.
I think I did say 6 threes at some point, didn't I? I think some point this week I threw out the possibility that it would be a 6-3 flurry.
To quote you had said that the passes that Luka was giving to Klay in practice, he was feasting off of. I think we got a taste of what was maybe happening in practice tonight based off of what Klay was doing from the three-point line.
Maybe I undersold it, but far better than just the passes were the 2 walkaways before the shot was even taken. I think that was peak entertainment. Counting the shots down before they were down, and then the over-the-head pass that Luka threw. I think that one, even though tonight was game 1, and even though he was clearly rusty in the first half, something tells me that pass through Wemby's arms over the head will end up on the year-end highlight reel.
For sure. Your perspective from where you were at the AAC tonight, obviously the atmosphere was great, but the play on the floor, especially in the second half, the Mavericks showing their strength, especially from the three-point line. Luka Doncic getting his legs under him as the game went on. You could tell there was some rust, not having not played in the preseason, but clearly the rust didn't get to him as much, still just a couple assists shy from a triple-double. Your thoughts and observations on what happened tonight between the Mavericks and the Spurs?
Yeah, the first half was obviously a rough watch. I don't think anybody could dispute that. But, I mean, it is. I mean, Luka hadn't played a full-speed game like this in a long, long time. I'm going to say that the Goran Dragic game that I saw in late August doesn't really count because that was several notches below full speed. So there was certainly a rust factor, and he had no preseason. But, I'm sure I'm going to say this 25 more times this season. The last thing I worry about with the Dallas Mavericks is number 77, and fine. He has to chip some rust off, and, he more than did that. But, tonight was, from a Dallas perspective, clearly about, Klay getting off to this tremendous start. 6 threes, tying the most for any Maverick in a debut. And then, the center question, we've all been asking it. Even pregame, Jason Kidd did not want to reveal who he was going to start at center. We had to wait for the formal announcement of the starters when they blipped onto the monitors that are all over the place for the press when the starters were formally announced. But starts Gafford, brings Lively off the bench. How does Derek Lively respond to coming off the bench after, all the hoopla and talk that, he'd be a starter? And I mean, he was sensational tonight with the energy and, I think yet again, you could say winning a duel with Victor Wembanyama.
This is like, it's related to the Mavs and it's related to the Spurs, but it's not about the players on the court. Can I ask Mark a question about that, Kevin?
Of course you can. This is your show too, Bobby, for sure.
So, Mark, I've noticed every time the Mavs play the Spurs, after the game, J-Kid and Pop talk for such a long time, and they look like they are the best of friends. Now, I know J-Kid obviously never played under Pop. I mean, maybe they crossed paths so many times during almost did, for sure, very famously. But do they have any sort of relationship? I mean, Kid's been around basketball for a long time and everything, but
it all stems from the summer of 2003.
Yeah.
When the San Antonio Spurs beat the then New Jersey Nets in the NBA Finals with a young Tony Parker in the Spurs backcourt. But shortly after that, the Spurs went all out to try to sign Jason Kidd away from the Nets. And Jason Kidd very strongly considered it. I mean, it's funny, post-game tonight, there was a moment where R.C. Buford, of course, the longtime architect of the Spurs front office, he no longer runs the team basketball-wise day-to-day, but R.C. Buford was here, and same thing. He and Jason Kidd had a very warm post-game moment. The Spurs went all out for Jason Kidd, and Jason Kidd, I'm sure he would have told us the story again had I asked him this when we were in Vegas, and the next time we get Jason Kidd on, we can certainly ask him again, and he'll tell you he came very close to joining San Antonio after those finals, which obviously would have changed the course probably of his career, would have changed the course of the Spurs, and their whole trajectory would have changed Tony Parker's career. Maybe Jason Kidd never even makes it to the Mavs if that happens. And Jason Kidd, after basically telling himself, I'm going to San Antonio, went back to the Nets, talked himself out of it, decided to stay in New Jersey. And then 5 years later, that set the stage for him to be traded back to Dallas and have a second act with the team that drafted him. So, yeah, I mean, that fondness you see between him and Pop, it's more than 20 years in the making. The Spurs, this was 6 or 7 years before Twitter. But I mean, when the Spurs were recruiting Jason Kidd, there were helicopters. I mean, there was coverage in the summer of 2003 unlike any other free agency in NBA history to that point. So yes, that's my long-winded way of saying there is very much still a relationship between Kid and Pop, and
I'm glad they struck out. How about that? Take that, San Antonio.
It worked out quite nicely for Jason Kidd and the Dallas Mavericks eventually. But at the same time, for this team, we talked about how this team, Mark, has got to start fast. 7 of their first 9 games are at home. They've got a chance to really put the pedal to the metal in these first couple of weeks here. Off to a good start, obviously a slow one in the first half, but I imagine they have got to be happy with the way that they were able to continue with it and eventually get the kind of shooting that they needed to put San Antonio Spurs team away. I got some really nice contributions from Champagny and others. Got to be a good feeling for this Mavericks team getting off to this start after tonight's win.
Well, again, if you want to make a checklist, if you guys wanted to draw up a checklist, obviously Luka's got to chip off the rust and, come back in real time after basically losing all of camp. I mean, he just, he did have a string of practices coming into this game tonight. I think that was important. Klay Thompson, to get him off to a good start, to get the center situation settled, and to see Derek Lively play the kind of game he did off the bench, I think was huge. We saw the Mavs mess around a little bit with some full court pressure. I don't think that was accidental. I don't think that was just a one-time thing. That is something I think they want to work into the mix, and they put it into practice tonight and did some good things with it. And obviously, as you said, 7 of 9 at home to start, but the degree of difficulty is going to ramp way up here. You've got to deal with Phoenix on the road next game, and then you got a challenging back-to-back, Utah at home, and then turn right around and go to Minnesota. So, yeah, it's 7 out of 9 at home, but this is a challenging little stretch of schedule right off the bat. So, I think all things considered, they're pretty happy with tonight. And then I think one other thing you throw in, they have so much depth. Once Kyrie came out, they didn't have to bring him back. Kyrie got a lot of late rest, which even though it's only game 1 of 82, I think from the Mavericks perspective, you want any kind of rest you can get for the main guys, you happily bank that.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, Bobby, I'm sure you would agree with this. We've talked about this as well on the show. The Mavericks are going to get every team's best punch every single night. And San Antonio, giving them credit in that third quarter, came back, made it a little bit of a game, got within 2 at one point. This is the kind of thing that the Mavericks are going to have to navigate all season, dealing with the emotional and mental ride and roller coaster, knowing that they're going to get every team's best shot every night, even with a team like San Antonio. We're not being nearly as talented as this team. We're going to be up for games like this, especially when it's a rivalry game as well.
Yeah, it's like, again, in the first half, no one can make a jumper.
Yeah.
And no one could even make a layup. Like, it was really, really gross. Yeah. It was gross. It was like offensive, to my core. But
last season, how did these teams only play 3 times, or did they play 4?
They played 4 times last year.
They played 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because okay, so Wemby lost the one game when we had the situation with the ball boy here last year, but unless I'm forgetting one, we really haven't. The Mavs have kept him out of alien mode. Like, we have not seen him. He hasn't had the success against the Mavs that he's had against lots of other teams. And, I thought we might see it tonight. But again, the Mavs did a tremendous job with their switching D, keeping Wemby far away from the basket. I think that's exactly what they want.
Yeah, no double teams. I was talking about it in the first segment. Just no double teams, straight up. You don't have to, just, if he can score, let him score. If not, hey, you don't need to leave someone else open to defend this guy. 2s are worth less than 3, But, I think the hallmark of a good team, the hallmark of a great team, let me say that, good teams have fastballs. Great teams, whenever their fastball is missing, will find another way to win. Mavs could not shoot the ball in the first half, but they made up for it with pretty good principled defense and a lot of effort on the offensive glass. And if they can just find ways to play with energy, they can just find ways to win games. It's early in the season, yeah. But in April, wins that you had in October are worth just as much as wins that you had in March.
For sure.
So, you stack up a couple of these bad boys now, you can cash them out later in the year, and that's the difference between a 1 seed and a 4 seed, or a 3 seed and a 6 seed.
Yeah. And for Mark's terms, I was gonna say for Mark, for you, if the serve isn't working, use the backhand or the or the forehand, so that kind of thing. A little bit of slice action for our tennis folks out there like yourself.
So you guys tell me, since obviously I can barely log on by myself, What? So am I seeing this right? We have 350 people live with us. Is that true?
You're damn right. That's
We're jamming.
right. That's right. Cooking.
And how's the chat?
It's popping off.
Chat's been lit the entire time. Oh yeah, somebody commented said you look dapper with your shirt and your jacket on tonight.
Thank you. I would be more comfortable in my DLLS hat, but to games you have to be suited and booted.
We'll be comfy on Saturday night, though. I'm looking
we will
forward to that.
Yes. I
am really, really looking forward to Saturday night, and it's not because it's Mavs Suns. I know that's going to get a lot of people wound up in emotion. For me, it's not about that. It's just I love the idea of a late tip, of a show that starts at like midnight on a Saturday night. Finally, we're going to be in my time zone wheelhouse. I'm a night owl, so I cannot wait for that Saturday post-game show that starts at whatever 11:49 or 12:06 or whatever it is.
Late is the word that we'll use here.
Are we gonna get 350 people with us on Saturday night?
Yes. No doubt about it.
Actually, we're gonna get like 400.
Oh wow.
Maybe even more.
Oh wow.
Yeah, high expectations around here for DLLS Mavs. Always high expectations that Marc Stein always meets when it comes to DLLS Mavs here on DLLS Sports.
Do I have to log off because Cato's now logging on? Is that what's
That's
happening?
right. You got to go. You got probably stuff to write. You got a whole bunch of stuff to write, so you got to go.
You guys want me to shut this off?
Yes, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to go. Bye, Mark.
I'll try not to take it personal. See you guys later.
There he goes.
Bye, Mark.
Our National Mavericks NBA insider, Marc Stein. You can always dial him up at the Stein line on X. Good enough to join us here on DLLS Mavs here on our postgame show. Coming up next, Tim Cato, live from the American Airlines Center. His thoughts and observations on how the Mavericks were able to get it done. They are 1-0 with a 120-109 win over the San Antonio Spurs. Tim Cato, live from the American Airlines Center, all next on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
But first, quickly, going to tell you a little bit more about what we do at DLLS. So we're going to bring you pre and post game for every single Mavs game this season. We got Stars jamming in the other room. They're doing the same thing for the hockey
Stars,
team.
big win. Shout out to the Stars. They get a big win.
If the Cowboys ever play football again, we got Cowboys coverage for you. We got
they'll play
Rangers
football.
coverage. We cover every other team in town. We got more shows on the way, too. But we also have a website, alldlls.com, where we are providing written coverage, features, analysis, columns. We're going to be doing some video breakdowns and other extra segments that are exclusive to our community members that we call diehards. If you go to alldlls.com, you can become a diehard for a limited time. There's an intro offer of $4 a month. Whenever you sign up, you get a free t-shirt. It's an annual subscription. You also get access to our diehard Discord.
That's right.
You can join the Discord. You get a discount on merch. You get a discount on future live events and hangouts that we're going to be doing, and a whole lot of other things. So you should definitely become a diehard. Just do it. Don't ask questions. Just go do it right now.
alldlls.com/diehard. Become a diehard member today. 20% off events. You get a physical diehard card as well to show off your membership. When you get it, make sure you tag us on social media. We'll shout you out, and you can let us know that you are part of the family here as a DLLS diehard member. Again, just for $4 a month, you can become a diehard right now. So you can do it while you're multitasking, while watching us become a diehard member. Again, alldlls.com/diehard. Shout out to all of our fantastic diehard members with us on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the video nearing 100 likes. As Jeff Kavanaugh likes to say, we need it for the algorithm. Hit the like button if you're watching us right now. Make sure you also download the podcast as well, wherever you get your podcasts for free. Just search DLLS Mavs. Give it a 5-star rating. Write a review for it while you're there for the DLLS Mavs
We have
podcast.
to work together to defeat the algorithms.
That's right.
Machines rule everything around me, and I'm tired of it. I'm so sick of it.
Okay, well, just take a breather. It's okay. It's all right, Bob.
I'm fed up.
Well, we're not fed up with our guy, Tim Cato, who joins us right now from the American Airlines Center. Hey, get out of here. Get them other cats out of here. They are not a part of the actually. Oh, is that slightly?
Are those our rivals?
Slightly biased?
Those are our rivals?
No, they're friends. They're friends of ours. They're friends.
Oh, they're
I don't know
friends?
about you guys. Yeah. And
Well,
now they're
shout
gone.
out to
Tim, I'm not going to lie, man. You sound a little quiet right now.
Yeah, you got to
Little
turn yourself
quiet.
up.
It sounds like you're talking into a soda can that's full of soda.
Interesting. It's still no better.
That was a little better.
We're We're gonna go Mac speaker. How does that sound?
There you go. A little bit better. I mean, your lights are going to blind the hell out of us by the time we get done with the show.
Yeah, Tim, are you at the discotheque?
I am, in fact. So people don't know this about the American Airlines Center, but once every game ends, they actually basically just turn it into It'll Do. It's kind of like a
I don't know
like
what that
club.
is. Is it like Interskate? There's a popular skating rink in Louisville.
It's a lot like that, yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. It's good to know.
Well, shout out to the folks. We've got over 100 likes on the video. Make sure you continue to like the video as well. Tim Cato, of course, you can find him at Tim_Cato on X, our Mavs beat reporter and writer here at DLLS Mavs.
Tim, are you late to the podcast because you were on Locked On Mavs?
I was not. I was not on
You
that
better not have
podcast.
been.
I've never heard of it. I think they have a video show. It's a little bit different than what we do.
So then what were you doing at the arena just now?
They were over my shoulders, kind of being like a good angel and a devil.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
let you guys choose which was which.
Hmm.
We'll talk about
Man,
that
these
offline.
lights are really aggressive.
Yeah, very aggressive.
They really
Shout out
are.
to our viewers who continue to watch.
I mean, I love Chime, but like, my God, just like back off.
Jeez, we get it. It's green.
Like, okay, the Mavs won.
We got it. They
Like-
won. We love that. We love that.
next thing we know, there's going to be the balloon bit.
Oh, he's going to move. Tim's going to do us the
Ooh.
favor and move all while he's walking. We're getting live
wow.
coverage of Tim Cato walking and switching. It's no
Oh my
better.
God.
It's really no better.
Oh my God.
And now you look like you're sitting in the middle of lights. This is going to be awesome for the podcast. They're going to be like, what the hell was going on this post-game show? But it's okay. Tim is joining us. Now we can't hear him.
Now we can't hear him. Tim?
We'll just talk amongst ourselves as you get your audio together. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, the
You
Mavs.
gotta leave the microphone part of your phone uncovered.
I'm not on my phone. I'm on my. I needed to bring a mic with me. We're gonna learn. We're gonna regroup and we're gonna do better.
This is going to be a hell of a clip for Tanner tomorrow. I can't wait till this gets out there on social media. This is going to be fantastic. Let's talk about what happened at the game tonight. Mavericks used 19 3-pointers, shoot over 40%. Nick, get the hell out of the camera, damn it. Get out of the camera. As the Mavericks get a fantastic performance from Klay Thompson, 6 3-pointers in his Mavericks debut. Luka Doncic, a couple assists shy from a triple-double, still getting his legs under him. Thoughts and observations from you, Tim, on what you saw and how the Mavericks were able to get it done tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the story's Klay. The story has to be Klay. The story was always going to be Klay. Klay made a note to say, hey, guys, this is just one game. Don't get ahead of yourself. I think that is a good note. But Klay's saying that for 2 reasons. First, he's like, I haven't proven anything with this team just because I did it for one game. I think Klay has the awareness as a veteran to understand, that one game is not anything. One game does not definitively prove that, this lineup is going to work, that the defense is going to be simpatico, that he's going to hit 6 threes every night. But you know what? He's also saying this because he understands that this is the first game, not of 82, but of what the team hopes is 105, 108, 110. And Klay, and now everybody in that locker room, but Klay even more than these guys understands, Klay and Kyrie, they understand that a deep playoff run has certain expectations and needs that you have to go through a season. And so I thought that Klay, even though he showed everything that you would expect out of him in this situation, that he came out here and he made with certainty that any doubts that Luka's not going to be able to find a 3-point shooter who's one of the best 3-point shooters, maybe the second best ever in history. Any of those doubts, no. Like, there's no concern about that. But I liked that he was still very just measured about it. And I thought the measured reaction from Klay Thompson, really in a way speaks to why they brought him in here. He is a winner. He knows how to win, not just games, but championships. That's what he's here to do for the Dallas Mavericks.
Couldn't get a better start from Klay Thompson with the 22 points that he had. That's going to be the story of the night, Bobby. But other things that the two of you saw that are going to be taken from tonight's game.
Yeah, Tim, what did anyone, whether it was Luka himself or J-Kid, what did they say about Luka, how they felt he moved, how he felt physically and mentally and all that?
Yeah, he mentioned that, it was the first time he was playing in 4 months, and that, it did take a second for him to kind of just get into the game. But he also said he played terribly. He's not going to, come on, guys. We know Luka. We know how he operates. There's he is never going to make excuses for himself, especially not in a post-game setting. He might, during the course of a game, get angry at a ref or create a beef, but like in the post-game setting, when all of the the blood is subsided and the adrenaline isn't coursing anymore, he is somebody who expects what he did in the second half out of himself 48 minutes every single time, every single night. And so I just thought it was very similar to Klay. He was fairly measured about his performance. He wanted more. But look, that third quarter into the fourth, we saw the Luka that we're going to be seeing pretty much every game this year. I don't have any concerns, in my viewing of it. I just thought that the team was a little bit slow and took a little bit to get going in the first half. But, against a team like San Antonio, and quite frankly, after watching them, I know they're missing Vassell, but that is not a good team. That is not a team that's going to be pushing for the play-in tournament. Dallas's star power was always going to win out. I don't think that we learned anything massive about the Mavericks, except that they can be better than this. I don't think we learned anything massive because of the opponent, because I don't think this is a very good opponent. But when you start the season, the right thing to do is get a win. I think Dallas set the season off in a good way with plenty of room to improve, plenty of positive areas to improve, considering that they won this game in the end fairly handily.
To your point, Luka Doncic in that second half playing nearly 18 minutes, going 5 of 11 from the field, 4 of 6 from downtown, scoring 19 points, had 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and was a plus 11 in the second half. That is more of the Luka Doncic that we were accustomed to versus what we saw in the first half. The numbers telling the story for him, especially from the three-point line, where they were really able to dominate and come out in the third and fourth quarters, really put the pedal to the metal to the Spurs, especially from downtown, making those 19 three-pointers, shooting over 40% from the three-point line. What did you make of the overall shooting, especially for the Mavericks in the second half, to really put this thing away against San Antonio?
I mean, remember my prediction that this might be a team that breaks the all-time NBA three-point record? It doesn't seem that distant now that you have a team that just shot 44 times and they made 43% of it. Let me tell you, about 44 three-pointers a game on a 41, 42% shooting, that would do it this season. That's about the mark that they need to do. I did not predict that another team, like let's say the Boston Celtics, might also break it this season, break it more emphatically than Dallas. But this is a team that's going to get up a lot of threes. Maybe in a few instances, Quentin Grimes, I'm talking to you, a little bit quick on the trigger. But overall, I think that this team is going to put up a astronomical amount of threes, that this is how they're going to pull away and win games. This is where their talent lies in a lot of ways. There's going to be a lot of ability to work inside in the same way, but they don't have the vertical spacing of somebody like Derek Jones. This is a team very much that is now working perimeter into the paint. I think last season they were a team that made their offense, it started at the paint and then it worked out. I think it's going to work outside in this year a lot more than it did last season. And because of the pieces they have, I think it's going to work a lot better than it did last season.
Yeah, I agree. To peel the curtain back a little bit, Tim and I text throughout the game. Tim and I know each other in real life. Kevin and I know each other in real life.
Very much so.
We text sometimes about stuff.
It's unfortunate, but we do.
Yeah.
Damn.
And,
wow.
and we've...
I love you, Kevin.
I love you too, Tim.
We've talked on the show as well before about how, losing Jones and to an extent losing Josh Green, who, isn't like a high flyer like Jones is, but is certainly a dynamic player in the Mavs, maybe fastest player in the open floor last year whenever they went from 28th or whatever it was to 7th in pace. We're like, well, they might not have as many dunks. They might not play as fast. They're going to have to do other things if they want to get early offense. And so it's like the play that I broke down in the second segment, with the Klay running off 3 screens during the Corellustrator segment.
The Corellustrator, you're damn right. That's right.
That was early offense. We saw the Spurs were pressing the Mavs. Najee gets this outlet from Jaden Hardy, and then all of a sudden it's just a stampede, full speed, right to the rim, and he just lofts it up there for Lively. Mm-hmm. So there's other ways for them to score early. For them to score quick, for them to push the tempo, for them to get some stuff around the rim. But Tim, you're right. I mean, so much of it is just going to be like if Klay's hot, then teams are going to have to overreact to that, and that's going to all of a sudden open up a driving lane. Like, it's kind of to do my cross-sport analogy, Kevin.
Let's go.
You know, the Mavs are not going to be they're not going to be running to set up the pass. They're going to be passing to set up the run. You know, you hit a couple deep plays, all of a sudden now you can hand off up the middle. Your linebacker's back. You're playing 6 in the box, and boom,
Bobby.
soft front, and all of a sudden you get 8 yards before contact even.
You better cook on your football now. Let's look at you. And you thought we was just a basketball guy. You done broke out.
I played a lot of Madden
references.
12 back in the day. Right?
Oh, a lot of Madden. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Well, it's coming to help you out here tonight. Tim, any final thoughts and observations before we let you get out of there at the American Airlines Center on tonight's Mavericks win?
We'll have more thoughts tomorrow. I have more thoughts. I absolutely have more thoughts. For right now, this moment, guys, there's like a banger of a song playing down there. The mosh pit looks really good.
All right.
I think I got to get down there. They need me on the dance floor, so I'm gonna go there.
They're playing some Limp Bizkit.
It's a little bit more. It's a lot more synths than I think Limp Bizkit ever had. But I'm gonna head down there, and tomorrow when you see me show up to the office with glitter,
Incubus,
hovering, it's not Incubus. It could be Fred again. He's a little too popular. You know, maybe some. Yeah, we'll figure it out. So
okay,
we'll go jump around down there in the mosh pit. Go have fun, Tim.
Jamie XX.
Excuse me.
Bye, Tim.
Get him off the screen.
Goodbye,
Get him
Tim.
off the screen.
Goodbye.
Get him out of here.
That is our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. Good enough to join us here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. The Mavericks open up the 2024-25 NBA season in style, 120-109 over the San Antonio Spurs. Klay Thompson, the story on this night, 22 points, draining 6 3-pointers, a Mavericks record for a franchise debut. Luka Doncic, 2 assists shy of a triple-double. Derek Lively, a monster double-double. Jaden Hardy knocking down 3 threes. It was a collective team effort, Bobby, as the Mavericks were able to get it done. Final word before we get out of here tonight.
Good win. Wins are good.
Wins are good.
It was extremely ugly in the first half. A team that shoots a lot of threes, that's going to kind of happen. You know, like the Celtics are going to be better than the Mavs this year, and the Celtics were better than the Mavs last year, but the Celtics would kind of do the same thing as the Warriors that you were talking about earlier, where whenever you shoot, whenever so much of your identity is about floor spacing and three-point shooting, you might miss 10 shots in a row, and you're going to be like, oh my God, are they ever going to score again? And then you make 10 shots in a row, and you're like, oh my God, I've never seen such a beautiful thing in my entire life.
Yeah.
You know, and so games might be like this. It might happen in reverse, where they start 10 of 10, and then they miss 10 straight. You're like, well, what happened whenever you were good 5 minutes ago?
Can you get back to that, please? Yes.
Yeah, and so I think the big difference between this season's team and last season's team was so based around scoring at the rim. This season's team is so based around shooting. So last season, very consistent. You knew exactly what to expect from game to game after the trade deadline. This season, there's going to be a lot of this. There's going to be a lot of this. So just hold on to your butts.
Hopefully the defense is doing this, though.
Yeah, hopefully the defense is consistent, but the offense is going to be like a sine wave. And you're going to be so anyway, just be patient. Just be calm. Stay poised. And we're gonna be with you every step of the way on this journey, because it's gonna be super fun. It's gonna be super frustrating. It's gonna be super awesome.
I'm gonna leave you with the words of Klay Thompson when he first got here to Dallas. You still can't leave him open, because if you do, you're gonna pay for it.
That's
and
true.
San Antonio found out the hard way tonight. Mavericks 120, Spurs 109. They are 1-0 as the Mavericks get ready to take on the Phoenix Suns on Saturday. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. here on DLLS Mavs. Myself, Bobby Corella, Tim Cato, recapping everything that happened from the Mavericks taking on the Spurs as we look forward to the Mavericks taking on the Phoenix Suns on Saturday night. That game will tip off at 9 p.m. on Saturday night. So looking forward to the Mavericks taking on Kevin Durant in the Phoenix Suns. But we'll wrap everything up in a nice, pretty bow tomorrow, 1 p.m. here on DLLS Mavs. For our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato, let me not forget about our guy Tanner. Shout out to our guy Tanner, producing, handling everything for us here.
Tanner hogged the beers. You're on my list, buddy.
Shout out to our guy Tanner. For Tim Cato, our National Mavericks NBA insider Marc Stein, Mavericks analyst Bobby Corella, I'm your man Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. Mavs 120, Spurs 109, Mavericks 1-0 on the season. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 1 p.m. here on DLLS Mavs. Y'all be good. Appreciate y'all watching.
We all silly like the mayor.